Hey, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Week in Review, a weekly video where we talk about all the videos that we posted on the Dice Tower the previous week. We give you short summaries, and then you can decide if you want to watch the full video by clicking a link in the description below. Here we go!
Hey everybody, Garcia here. So last week I reviewed 3 things, and it was a very good week. I reviewed The Quest for El Dorado, The Golden Temples. This gets an 8.5 out of 10 from me. This is a standalone expansion to The Quest for El Dorado, and I like it. I don't like it as much as Quest for El Dorado. I rate that a 9. This one I think feels less like a race because it's not sort of a straight shot through the jungle. It feels more like fetching instead of racing. You are hitting up 3 temples and then gathering gems, getting back out. It's good, though, and I would definitely recommend it as a standalone expansion. I think combining this with the original game leads to a little bit of bloat. It's kind of big, it's kind of sprawling, but it's very solid. I certainly recommend it. I would still say get the first one first, though. I reviewed Unmatched Jurassic Park InGen versus the Raptors. This gets a 9 out of 10 from me. It's fantastic. Both sides feel really different. The board in this is really tight and scary, and there's sort of a couple of bottlenecks in it. I like the way both sides play, the way it feels. There's a definite cat and mouse vibe to the entire thing. I do wish it had 2 boards. It's a single-sided board. But otherwise, it's another great release in Unmatched. And then lastly, I reviewed Unmatched, Cobble, and Fog, and this gets a 10 out of 10 from me. This, I think, is the best Unmatched product that has been released so far. It's a great starting off point because the characters are bombastic and straightforward. It's a great addition to someone who already is into Unmatched because these literary characters are so interesting and engaging, and their decks are so thematic to those characters they're based on. So again, just unbelievably good stuff, Cobble and Fog. And that's it for me. I will see you all on the next one.
Hey there everybody, it's Mike DiLisio, and this week I reviewed 2 games. I reviewed the 2 new expansions for Root. First, the Clockwork expansion, which adds some automated bot opponents that allow you to play the game either solo, or if you're playing in a smaller player count, 2 or 3 players, it allows you to add some factions that maybe you wouldn't be able to otherwise. It's a really solid expansion for Root, especially again if you're going to be playing it solo or with a small player count. I rated that a 7.5. And then I also rated the Root Underworld expansion, which adds 2 new factions, the Moles and the Crows, the Corvid Conspiracy, and the Underground Duchy. And it adds also 2 new maps, the Lake and the Mountain map. And this is a really, really good expansion. They both are, but this one gets a little bit higher score. I gave this an 8 out of 10 because I love these new factions. The Moles, maybe, they're very close, if not at the top of my favorites for Root factions. So that's it for me this week. Let's keep it moving.
Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and this is my week in review. This week I reviewed 2 games. I reviewed Sidekick Saga, which is a superhero game in which you are sidekicks trying to handle crime in the absence of your superhero mentors. And while the game had some good ideas in it, it wasn't quite for me. I also reviewed Warhammer Age of Sigmar, The Rise and Fall of Anvalor. That one is a pretty fun tower defense game where you are laying tiles down to fortify your city in preparation for pretty vicious enemy onslaughts. I did enjoy the planning elements of the game, especially deciding what units to place where on the board. But for all of your planning, the game does still come down to the luck of a die roll, so be prepared if you're interested in having a look. And that was my week in review. Happy gaming!
Hello everybody, this is Graeme Anderson, and this week I looked at 2 games. The first was Inoka, a rock, paper, scissors style game with the added twist of having 3 of each card with a different strength, 1, 2, and 3. At the start of each round, you're going to select 5 out of your 9 cards and play. It operates exactly the same way as rock, paper, scissors, but in this game it's called taunt, defense, and attack, I believe. And if both players play the same card, you compare the strengths. Highest strengths wins the tie. If both cards are completely identical, nobody wins. And when someone wins a round, they will take a leaf token. If they already have the leaf token and win using an attack card, you get a soul stone. Otherwise, the player with the leaf token at the end of the 5 rounds gets a soul stone. First player to 3 soul stones is the winner. Now, I did not enjoy this game at all and only gave it a 3.5 out of 10. If you're like rock, paper, scissors, just play rock, paper, scissors. This game adds nothing. The second game I looked at was Patchwork Doodle, a roll and write game from Uwe Rosenberg based on his very popular Patchwork game. Each player is given a starting card where they must draw on their 9x9 grid. There are 8 cards dealt around in a circle and a token is placed between 2 random cards. Someone rolls a die and moves the token 1 to 3 spaces forward, then whichever card the token lands on, each person draws on their grid. It can be rotated or flipped. The card is then removed and you roll again. When there's only 2 cards left, you do intermediate scoring, then deal out another 6 cards. After 3 rounds, add up your intermediate scoring, subtract 1 point for each empty space on your board, and the player with the most points is the winner. Each player also has 3 special abilities they can use during the game, and I thought this game was just okay. But in the sea of good roll and write games, it just didn't stand out enough, so I gave it a 6 out of 10. And that's it for this week.
Okay, so for me, I reviewed Growl, which is sort of like a werewolf ripoff. Ripoff's a really strong word. It's deliberately trying to be like werewolf, but a game that people are constantly involved in, and I just found it to be too boring for me. Rap Gods. This is a game about rap, not a genre that I'm entirely a fan of, but this gameplay was very simple and easy. You're going to be playing cards or discarding cards to take other cards, moving up in various stats, and accomplishing your dream of being the best rapper in the world. My Little Scythe, Pie in the Sky expansion. This adds an airship. Not a necessary expansion by any means, but if you want player powers and a little bit extra to the game, it's worth getting. Dracula's Feast. This is another social deduction game, but it's so fast and so simple, and I love the artwork for it, and it can be played also in fairly small groups as you're all going to a ball trying to figure out who everyone is. Pan Am, this Funkoverse game designed by the same people who make a lot of thematic games, the Prospero Hall team. This one here is more of a Euro-style game in which you're not connecting routes, but building airplane routes all over the place and trying to buy shares in this up-and-coming company, Pan Am. Very well put together game. Chicken War. This is a game that's, I think, marketed towards kids, but has a lot more deduction in it than you might think. It has some great art, and it just felt very different than most games that I've played. Fun. Exchange, a party-style stock market game. Very fun, very entertaining, very light. It's probably the lightest stock market game I've played, other than maybe Pit, and yet it still offers some good, meaningful choices in it. Scooby-Doo, Escape from the Haunted Mansion. This is a one-time escape room style game. In this game, players are kind of with Scooby-Doo and the gang trying to figure things out, but it has a lot of story in it. Really fun. I took a look at Role Player Fiends and Familiars, the second expansion. An excellent expansion. It only pales besides the first expansion, but they're both really well, and together they make the game a lot of fun. And then I took a look at the new starter set for Gloomhaven, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, which is nigh perfect, folks. If, man, this teaches you to play Gloomhaven, I like it better than Gloomhaven, if that's possible, just because of the ease and the benefits that this game had. Fantastic. Over the week, I also played some games on my iPad in my What's Happening, Steam, and Charterstone. I did my top 10 epic Euro games, and continued my 10,000 and below series. And then we did some other things over the course of the week, so you can go back and check all that stuff out. And that's what we have. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Week in Review on the Dice Tower.